Welcome to Insights into Insurance from the A-Team at Americana Insurance Group. All information provided is educational in nature and not intended to be acted upon without first consulting the appropriately licensed professional.
It's a Saturday morning. That means it's time once again for Insights into Insurance with Americana Insurance here on 1450 KATE. Mike White is your host, along with, not Tom Sorensen, Suzanne Dixon. Good morning to you, Suzanne.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing well. A nice Saturday morning around the Keat listening area. And, last week we did Grain Marketing 101, and we did that with Rich Morrison. And we thought this week we'd do a little more on grain marketing outlook, and via the phone line from Illinois, we welcome back. And Suzanne, we have Rich Morrison with us.
Yeah, Rich Morrison. He's the manager of the marketing services of Diversified Services Marketing Group. Rich is a son, husband, father, friend, retired coach, and Mike, he is a Green Bay Packers owner.
Well, as we said last week, we kind of did just Grain Marketing 101. We thought we'd dive in a little bit more. Of course, the USDA crop report last Friday for those farmers, that was a big day. And what does that USDA crop report actually tell us, Rich?
That's USDA's first stab at trying to guess what the yield is going to be, and then every month between now and January, they'll make some adjustments to those numbers. And we don't really have a whole lot to go on yet, other than maybe some population counts in the fields. We don't have any harvest results yet, so it's an educated guess. But the August reports are generally based on crop condition ratings. And every Monday afternoon, USDA releases the crop condition reports. They tell us the percentage of the crop that's rated good to excellent, poor to very poor in each state. And then for this August report, I think they basically take those numbers and use those times some population numbers to try to come up with a yield estimate. What's happened the last, 4 or 5 years is these estimates have been higher than what the trade has been expecting. So that everybody knows by now that the results of the report were negative to the market, and that's kind of what's happened.
And so let's you touched a little bit on the good news. The bad news on this USDA crop report that came out last Friday?
Well, I guess the good news is that it looks like nationally we're going to have some really good crops. The bad news is from the market standpoint, but USDA estimated a national corn yield at 178.4 bushels per acre. That would be a new record. It would be 1.8 bushels higher than last year's previous record. So it seems that we continue to raise bigger crops each year.
And Rich, if I can interrupt right there, this is a national-wide report. Of course, in the Midwest here in Freeborn County, we were actually maybe a month behind schedule with the spring conditions as far as, a wet spring. We got the snow around this area. So kind of that is some great news for those farmers here in Freeborn County in the Midwest, as they were a little bit late maybe getting the crops in.
Well, we're certainly looking, I think, at a lot of diversity this year in the crop. We've got crops down in Missouri and some of the southern corn belt that are burning up right now. That are coming along very quickly because of excessive heat and lack of moisture. So I think what this tells us is the August report's probably not going to be the final number. We're going to have a lot of changes potentially between now and the final ones in January. And like you said, with the crop in southern Minnesota being behind, still susceptible to changes in the weather as we go forward.
Let's talk about, you never want to talk about bad news with farming, but let's bring up the bad news as far as this crop report is.
Probably the bad news was the soybeans. Soybean yield was not quite a record, but 51.6 bushels per acre. But when we multiply by a big planted acreage number, would give us a record soybean crop in the United States at 4.586 billion bushels. And would give us record carryout at the end of next summer at 785 million bushels of soybeans. And that is a lot of soybeans. And when we look at world numbers, we're looking at a world record carryout as well. So we've had a record U.S. crop, it looks like, following what was a record Brazilian crop. You throw in some of the trade issues that we've got going on right now, and it looks like we're going to be literally swimming in soybeans for the next year ahead. And so the soybean market certainly was the weakest link from the report here last week.
And of course, on the national side of things, Suzanne, the tariffs, and that can always be another factor in the crop report.
Yeah, Rich, in your opinion, how much are tariffs affecting the prices?
You know, I think what happened when the tariff announcement was made, I think it probably sped up the inevitable this year. And that's, you know, usually our markets, we typically kind of count on a summer rally. Maybe you see markets rally a little bit in June. Oftentimes we make our highs June, early July. This year, I think that was sped up quite a bit, maybe a month, because of the tariff announcement, and it just triggered some of that early summer selling that we would normally see a little bit later. But a lot of the investment funds, the speculative money that we kind of count on to give us a little bit of a rally in the early summer just wasn't there this year because of the tariff. I think it probably was maybe 50 cents to 75 cents worth of price that it's probably taken away. I think that kind of comes a little bit from reduced Chinese usage as well. You know, if we would announce some sort of a tariff agreement or a dissolution of tariffs and trade agreement in the coming months, certainly you could see some upside back to this bean market, maybe 50 plus cents. But right now, I think we're a little bit lower because of that.
We're visiting with Rich Morrison, Manager of Marketing Services of Diversified Services Marketing Group, on our Insights into Insurance program here on KATE. Rich, talk a little bit more about some of the factors that maybe are causing the current market dip.
Well, I mentioned one briefly, but a lot of that's the investment money that we've seen come and go out of the ag markets. That could be good and bad. The investment money that comes into the markets can provide us some upside. They can give us opportunities, certainly, and we always look for that money to give us a little bit of a rally, to give us some selling. But here lately, most of those investors have run to the sideline because of some of the trade issues, and quite frankly, because we're looking at a huge crop. So I think that they're one of the bearish factors in our market. We would like to be able to hold off in having to make sales until we get those people back in our markets again. What will it take to do that? Probably some sort of a trade deal getting done, or maybe you've got to go all the way into South American weather, something like that here this winter before we possibly get them back in the market.
Rich, based on all these factors, do you have any strategies you would recommend to the farmers?
Well, I think at this point in the year, seasonally, this is not the time of the year to be selling crops. We all really know that. Our best opportunities are usually, in a post-harvest rally into the winter or in the following spring or summer. So at this point, unfortunately, it looks like storage is your best bet right now. Certainly if you haven't done so yet, I think producers need to be securing storage for the crops this fall. Soybean basis levels we've seen around the country as wide as we've ever seen as we head into harvest. So corn certainly will be looking at some fairly wide basis as well, I think, in areas where there's good crops. So the market will be giving you a fairly large incentive to store these crops, and I think we are going to have to be patient and use storage in order to hopefully see some rally opportunities on into the winter.
You're listening to Insights into Insurance on this Saturday morning here on KATE. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back. We'll talk more with Rich Morrison, the Manager of Marketing Services of Diversified Services Marketing Group, when we come back on our Insights into Insurance program here on KATE.
You got a side that wants more space, 'cause every day starts like a race. You got a side that loves that style, but to fit in those shoes gonna take a while. Today life's got you running, tomorrow big things are coming. Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
To learn more about how Nationwide can help protect your many sides, call Americana Insurance Group in Albert Lea and Wells.
Welcome back into our Insights into Insurance program with Americana Insurance here on KATE. Suzanne Dixon from Americana Insurance is with us, along with Rich Morrison, the Manager, Marketing Services of Diversified Services Marketing Group. And Rich, we kind of left off of, you talked about the strategies. What if farmers, they're not familiar with doing the strategies? What do we do?
Well, I think we've identified that USDA reports do bring a lot of risk with them. And so one of the things we've been suggesting around these reports are using short-dated put options. Those put options give you the right to sell a crop or a commodity without being obligated to sell it. So I think investing a few pennies in these puts, for instance, right ahead of this August report, I know in our market letter we discussed buying nickel puts on corn and I think 12-cent puts on beans that following the report, those puts went to 56 cents. So there's some ways to protect against that risk of USDA coming out with a larger crop again. Going forward when we get into the September crop report, October report, I'm not anxious to sell at these price levels, but I do recognize that there is a chance that USDA could put out bearish numbers. So rather than physically selling the commodity, I would prefer to use these put option type strategies to be able to protect right around those reports, just in case we get a bearish surprise, and at least it gives us some protection.
Rich, when would the next report come out, the USDA crop report? We know it came out last Friday. Do you anticipate another one coming out fairly soon?
It'll be, I believe it's September the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. It's, I think, the last Thursday or that Thursday or Friday of the second week of September. So they come out with one once a month. We'll get a September report in October. November, they do skip the month of December as far as crop production goes. And then we get our final production numbers of the year in January. So we've still got a few opportunities to see some changes to these production numbers.
Rich, in closing, how can Diversified help our farmers?
Well, I think we can give people another opinion, some ideas what to do. I think producers are busy raising the crop. You're busy getting ready for harvest. Most guys aren't sitting in front of the computer screen at 11 o'clock on a Friday waiting for the crop report to come out. So I think that's where we can provide that help and that person to help you on the marketing side. And we all recognize there's a lot of money to be gained or lost in the marketing side of the business, and that's where our expertise is, along with working with crop insurance to help put those two together.
And of course, Diversified can help farmers. You've got other different options, quite a list, Rich, that you can help the farmers with.
We do. Our parent company is Consolidated Grain and Barge, so we're very familiar with the grain business. We get a lot of news, a lot of the input, a lot of things that we use to make marketing decisions comes from our ties into the grain business, into the export channels. So we get a lot of information from that side of things as well. So we've got a diverse group that we can count on to get information.
All right, and of course they can always call Americana Insurance, Suzanne, to get more information and get in contact with Rich.
Correct. Yep, 507-377-2000. Rich, what number would you recommend they give you guys a call at?
Our brokerage office is 888-926-0985.
888-926-0985. That'll get you into the office of Rich Morrison, Manager of Marketing Services of Diversified Services Marketing Group. Rich, 2 weeks in a row, I think we did okay. Suzanne filling in for Tom on this Saturday morning, and we do appreciate your insight. We really appreciate your knowledge of all of the grain markets, the crop reports, and if farmers are interested, again, that number is 888-926-0985, or they can call Americana Insurance at 377-2000. Rich, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and we appreciate the time on this Saturday.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's Rich Morrison, our guest this morning on Insights into Insurance. Suzanne, we didn't do too bad without Tom here.
We didn't. We did great, Mike.
We'll do it again next Saturday with our Insights into Insurance program here on KATE.
You've been listening to Insights into Insurance from the Americana Insurance Group. All information provided is educational in nature and not intended to be acted upon without first consulting the appropriately licensed professional.